Good day, everyone. This is Wilkem's podcast. We have Bert North with us, the founder of the Measure, Monitor, and Manage system that we call the Wilkem Systems approach. Bert has extensive knowledge, and everyone in Western Australia almost knows about Bert. He's a legend in the industry. Bert is just going to give us a quick introduction into what the whole aim of the podcast is going to be, and specifically the integration of different farming practices. Okay, Bert, over to you.
It's been an interesting journey in agriculture for me, and looking back, my whole focus has always been on developing a sensible, easy to apply on-farm system. I don't believe that it's possible to isolate specific inputs on-farm, because whenever you vary one input, all the others is in a different ratio according to that. It is impossible to separate the structure of a living organism from its function, for life implies activity, motion, and process. It's impossible to separate the soil, the plants, and microbial life from each other, since they're all interdependent on one another. There's new research out there that indicate that plants absorb whole microbes with nutrients in their bodies and recycle them to provide complex nutrients to the plant root system, making it impossible to determine where the root starts its function and where the microbes stops its function. So there's very interesting YouTube videos supplied by Dr. James White on YouTube. Please have a look. You can just Google rhizophagy cycle, and all this new research is there for you to have a look at. Well, I think the only way I can really explain the Wilkem systems in a sensible way is to look at the constraints on farm. What is the problems that we face when you look at your paddocks? Soils with low CEC, soils with low carbon levels, the low fertility in our soils. There's compaction issues. There's permeability or tempo of infiltration of water, our poor soil structure, low water infiltration, the salinity issue that's developing here and there. Worldwide, bigger and bigger problem as we go, specifically on irrigation and that type of areas. Subsoil acidity and acid throttles, variability is three-dimensional. That's the one thing we really need to get our heads around. Currently, the soil mapping illustrates to us how variable the topsoil can be. But at depth, the same variability exists. So we're facing a three-dimensional variability issue, which makes it very hard to determine what exactly you're dealing with. There's issues like locked up potassium. There's high PBI soils where phosphorus get locked up very easily. There's low carryover nitrogen in soils, poor nitrogen fixing from low microbial activity, driven by the lack of carbon and energy in our soils. Complexity of the soil types, the physical and the chemical variations, the non-wetting, low water holding capacity. Very few tests exist where that gets done on farm. We just don't test these important parameters. We need to know how much water can my soil hold, Poor gas exchange due to poor structure. We need gas exchange in our soil. Oxygen needs to go in, CO2 needs to come out. The plant absorbs the CO2 coming out of the soil. It gives its energy, increased photosynthesis. But we need that gas exchange. Oxygen in, CO2 out of the soil. We need that structure to support that movement. Chemical carryover and residual, we don't know. We don't know enough about it. It's still early days. We've been on a no-till system for 20, 30, 40 years in some areas, and there's definitely accumulation starting to take place. More and more research into this area of what is the unintended consequence of this residual chemical in our soil. All foreign to our soil microbial system. These chemicals can have detrimental effects. as Roundup studies have shown over the years. I'm just alerting you to the fact and the workings of this chemical that we rely upon. And I don't say it's a bad thing. I just want you to understand how it really functions. Limited biological activity are left in our ag soils. We are really at the low point. It's not about the numbers. It's the numbers of good microbe versus bad microbe. That's what counts. It's not the actual number that counts. It's the ratios. So this is about a close little summary of all the basic constraints that we have. So what have we done? Well, we came up with a package of liquid solutions. And the system is based upon application in the furrow so that you can address that important little area where your plant grows. So see that you can maximize your microbial activity, but also your nutrient use efficiency in that area. The macro primer is a highly alkaline solution of 6% soluble calcium, and it's there to address the generated acidity as well as subsoil acidity. It's a quick way to get alkalinity down into the root zone and improve your nutrient use efficiency. We compromise our nutrient use efficiency with acidity in a big way. You know, the general understanding is that at the pH of 5, your applied fertilizer efficiency is around about 46%, and you go down to 4.5 pH, and you're talking about 29% efficiency of your applied fertilizers. These things are really concerning, and it's an easy fix to add the macro primer into that zone. It's the perfect partner and mixes very well with UAN down the boot. It will assist the plant with buffering salinity issues in the soil as well, due to the high calcium content. And it's an efficient microbial energy source. The molasses that's formed part of this formulation is really important to provide energy for the small seedling before photosynthesis from the leaves can really kick in and produce the exudates required in the root zone to excite the microbes. We also use liquid humate 450, which is a concentrated humate, 450 grams a liter of actual concentrated humate. Mixes very well as well with the Flexi-N and the macro primer in the tank mix. The humates has been around for a long time. They are great plant growth promotant, and the research to support all these claims has been done. We will attach some of this summary of the liquid humates benefits in the notes for you to come and read through. It will prevent the volatilization of your N. It will maximize nutrient uptake and availability. Humates reduce the effect of salinity by improving germination and growth. And it improves soil aggregate stability. It improves moisture management and drought tolerance. Humates improve calcium uptake with liming, but also form stable complexes with aluminium, therefore lowering the aluminium toxicity in our soils. So there's just a few reasons there for adding the humate into that tank mix and assist with all the buffering of that whatever issues we have in that root zone. Then we have a bit of an issue with our seed quality. We look at seeds and the way we take care of our seed before we put it in the soil. Seed is expensive and it's not effective on the big broad acre scale to buy new seed every year. So what can we do to improve the quality of our seed? Genetic expression is determined by environment and not vice versa. So very important for us to look at these environmental things. So improving nutrient supply to the seed paddock, those things is very important. You need to make the decision early in the season. Make sure you apply what's needed there. Microbial carryover on the seed is a very important paddock. It's a very important point. How does that transfer the seed from the paddock to the silo to the ground the next season? That whole process needs to be well controlled, and the prevention of disease carryover on the seed. Do I use fungicides to still clean my seed and make sure there's no carryover of disease? Yes, you can, because it's very important. As we continue this discussion, you will see that I don't promote any fungicides down the boot, but fungicides on the seed to clean your seed is quite important and will not have a detrimental effect. Research by Professor Gary Harmon has confirmed that you can still do that without a detrimental effect on your carryover of funguses. So addressing the above mentioned issues on seeds, so how do we do that? Well, at seed cleaning time, we will use Signature Zinc to coat our seed with. The amino acid chelated zinc is easy to use. It applies beautifully onto the seed, gets absorbed into the seed, and will have no effect on your seed flow or handling. It's very important. Why zinc? Well, 2% of all proteins use iron as a cofactor, where 10% of all proteins use zinc as a structural and catalytic functions. So zinc is very important. It's the only element that is present in all enzyme classes. Zinc also has specific roles in the protein-protein communications and interactions, which may have huge impact on biological processes in all organisms. The zinc is really important, and having it on there, get a big issue out the way. At seeding time, you don't have to worry about whether there'll be zinc for that early seedling. Then we start to look at the role of beneficial biological inoculants at seeding. What is the interface between applied nutrition and the plant? Well, that's where your microbes come in. And it's very important to understand that they have been well researched in the last probably 10 to 15 years. There's been huge leaders in this area, where Professor Gary Harmon from Cornell University was probably at the forefront on his trichoderma research and isolating specific strains that can be beneficial for us. So understanding the multi-mode of action of these trichoderma strains is paramount to our discussions. Alteration of the plant genes to improve nutrient use efficiency and disease resistance is a major benefit to the development of the plant through the growing cycle. The research shows similar results with 30% less applied nitrogen where the trichoderma inoculants was used on wheat. A very important comment from Prof. Gary Harmon is that applied trichoderma survive these fungicide applications on the seed. So that's very good to know that you don't have to run risk. This is specifically important in the case of barley, where we want to keep those seeds clean before we seed. Smuts and bunts can be a very nasty one. You don't want to discover that you've got problems with your seed once they germinate. So the design then of a protective polymer is very important in our case, because we want the ability to apply all these beneficial microbes into the tank mix. So biofilm was designed by our supplier in South Africa, Microbica, to protect these bioinoculants in the tank mix. They get pre-mixed into water with the biofilm polymer to protect them, and then they can be added into the tank mix. The BioTeam, which we recommend to use with the Recruit, which is the trichoderma strain, they support each other, and the BioTeam is responsible for nitrogen fixing, phosphorus solubilizing, and potassium solubilizing, and very effective strains that we use there to do that. In demo block, we detected increased levels of available nutrients in the root zone that was really significant. Phosphorus increased from 25 to 90 parts per million where the microbes was applied. Potassium increased from 140 to 270 parts per million, and nitrate from 5.2 to 13, and ammonium from 4.2 to 8.1. Significant increases that just proves that these things do work and they are effective. In the analysis of available nutrients in the road zone confirm the efficiencies. And then that's what we like to do on your farm, to show you that these things cannot not work. They've evolved over millions of years. The work was done by the scientists and the microbiologists that isolated the specific ones that can give you economical value on your farm. We don't have a shotgun approach in our range of microbes. We've selected very specific microbes that are able to give you an economic return. They concentrated, they ISO 9001 certified, so you know that your numbers are guaranteed in the product, and that's really important. You got to make sure, if you want to go down the line of microbial inoculants, that you know the numbers of the colonizing forming units in that liquid. You just can't chuck a lot of these microbes into the same drum and expect the result. They will fight each other and there will be a few survivors. So it's very important from a microbial perspective that the microbiologist research the product very well and put the right companions into the same mix, because they don't always coexist very well. Oh, we got some other microbes available: stubble digestion, nitrogen fixation. So micro-N stubble is very important for breaking down our stubble and recycling it, assisting us with that. It also has come forward now in research that Adelaide University is conducting regarding the lowering of the shikimic pathway in plants, because Roundup is interrupting that, and we get a higher level of shikimic acid, which is not good for our plants to resist and defense against pathogens, and growth is inhibited by that. So the micro-N stubble was very effective, and that research is continuing. So that opens up another opportunity to look at micro-N stubble as a way to combat the unintended consequence of the no-till system, where we rely heavily on Roundup applications. Again, like I said at the start, it's not about the pathogen and its numbers. It's about the relationship and the ratio of the beneficials. If we have enough beneficials there, a higher level is not going to do much, because it will be suppressed. So dominance and evenness is the two concepts we like to talk about. You don't want a dominant microbial species. You want the evenness, so levels where all species live in harmony and at equal levels. That's where your plant will be at its best and doing what it should be doing, and it's producing grain for you. So MetaBoost is a metabolite that's derived from the Trichoderma isolate, a concentrated compound of metabolites that we use to boost plant growth in general and boost the plant's ability to withstand disease issues. We've had some significant results with MetaBoost in the past, combining it with fungicide sprays, combining it with nutrient sprays. On its own, it's been very effective at high rates and has produced significant yield responses. So the MetaBoost is definitely something that I will use in my program recommendations. This is a very, very tough all-rounder that can be put into any mix. It is really a compound that's powerful. It's full of beneficial compounds that will improve plant metabolism. It provides rich plant responses, and we discover more applications every year as we go. It's been a great tool in waterlogged conditions, where plants need to recover from waterlogged conditions, plants recovering after drought stress periods, plants in salinity issues. So any plant under stress, whatever, the MetaBoost is your go-to there. So that's about it for seeding time, guys. That's roughly what we focus on at seeding time. We really try to focus on dealing with issues in the root zone. And we will produce supporting information on the website where you can look at. I've got a one-pager of the WorldChem Systems approach, a summary of rates, because I don't want to talk about rates here as well and confuse. This is more like just a message. The rates will be explained in that pager. So a foliar program later in the season is then the focus after seeding. We look at our top-up, and we want to talk a little bit more about that. So let's start with the common practice of a big buff of UAN applied. When we do that, we disregard the Mulder's chart and its importance to explain induced deficiencies. Nitrogen applied in large amounts will always impact on potassium uptake, but also copper and boron gets antagonized. No wonder we have issues then with insects and disease attacks later in the season. It's important to focus more on nutrition and disease link later on, and I'll do another separate talk on that. But it's really important now to understand that the UAN on its own in big amounts will induce potassium, copper, and boron issues. And that's a very important one to understand. So what can we do to mitigate that? Well, we recommend that you never apply UAN without a liquid humate to maximize the efficiency. So liquid humate gets applied at 10%, which is really important. Put that in. We apply K27N, which is a liquid potassium product, fantastically formulated, specifically for effective uptake. And then trace elements, zinc, manganese, and copper, boron, molybdenum, whatever is needed gets applied into that top-up, not just UAN by itself. Testing is very important to maximize your outcome. There's no point applying things that you don't need. And sometimes you, like I just mentioned, you can induce issues by too much of a good thing. So really important to utilize the opportunity to test in your fields. We use SAP meters from HORIBA. They are really good, and there's nothing wrong with them. There's plenty of PhD studies that gets conducted with these meters these days. So the accuracy is very good. You can go and look onto the HORIBA website for a lot of research and supporting information. Get in contact with WorldChem if you're interested. And we will have another podcast focusing on the MMM, measure, monitor, and manage, and how to use these tools and how they can really help you. You can measure nitrogen, potassium, calcium, and sap pH very effectively, as well as your sugar levels in your plant. And there's enough information in there if you know how to interpret these parameters to make the right decision on how to construct your top-up in your tank mix. So it's very important to look at these things. I've worked for years to develop a system that's farmer use friendly, that farmers can use, and even your kids can go out and do the testing. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. It's as easy as grabbing the top leaves of the plant, put them in a garlic crusher, and analyze the sap that comes out. And you will see, no one can tell you what a good crop looks like. You know what it looks like. You test your good crops and you go to the bad crops. You'll be surprised to detect the levels, huge discrepancies and big differences. So very important to understand that these things can be done and can be measured on farm. They're not cheap, but they will pay their way for you and really assist you going forward. There's no reason why we should fly blind in the season. If we want to put a good, solid nutrient booster together for our plants, instead of just one big nitrogen buff, it's important to test and to do the right interpretations. And yes, keep the data for reference in the future. You might need to put a little bit more up front. If you test at 6 weeks and you're running low on all levels, well, that's a good indication that there's just not enough energy applied at seeding time. So you can discover all these important, informative things on the go as you go. So I just need to mention that to apply this whole idea of the WorldChem systems on your farm, it's really important that you have a proper liquid injection system on your bar. And our sister company, Furrow Management Systems in Midland, is really the go-to here for nutrition, but also wetter applications. The system has been developed over years, highly functional, simple, and yes, it works from a very simple point where the friction inside the tubing, the friction flow tubing, regulates the flow. So you don't have any restrictions in your lines. Blockages is uncommon or non-existent, and that's what you want, a reliable liquid system to apply. The systems approach is very important. On farm, we deliver in bulk as well. So the opportunity is there for bigger farmers to set themselves up where your Flexi-N tanks are. Put your macro primer, liquid humate, and trace element tanks in close proximity or in the same line. They all get interconnected, and that really improves the efficiency and the handling and makes life easy. It comes down to once a day where you have to focus and prepare your tank mix, and then the rest of the day, whoever is driving the seeder and doing the refilling just starts the pump. It's a real simple concept. The mixes are very stable because the SGs are similar to Flexi-N. You don't need to add extra water at all. You can if you want to increase your rates or just balance some rates out. But the recommendation is to add as little as possible water into these mixes. I hope that this have explained the whole idea of the WorldChem systems approach a little bit better. And we will attach the summary in the notes for you guys, where we will talk about the measure, monitor, and manage to ensure that you got a little bit of understanding before it's time to respond. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Thanks, Bert. Looking forward to the next delivery, especially on going into more depth with the measurement and the SAP analysis tools that you have described. Thank you for the explanation of the WorldChem systems approach in a nutshell. We will break it down in more detail in the upcoming podcasts.